Love arrives in the quiet moments, not in grand gestures, not in roses or diamonds, but in the way one person's presence shakes the world you've spent years building brick by unbreakable brick. For some, love is gentle. For others, love is a battlefield. But for women like Astra Valerio and Celeste Hartman, two billionaires raised by ambition, sculpted by pressure, love is a forbidden territory, a risk that could destroy the empires they've built. They were never meant to meet, never meant to share the same room, and definitely never meant to share the same bed. But fate doesn't follow contracts, and the heart never listens to logic. This is the story of two women who never believed in love until it forced them to face each other with nothing to hide and nowhere to run. Astra Valerio did not believe in destiny. She believed in numbers, contracts, and the power of being the smartest person in any room she walked into. That morning was no different. Her heels clicked against the marble floor of Valerio, tower as the board members fell silent the moment she stepped in. Black suit, hair in a sharp bun, a reputation sharp enough to cut glass. "Good morning," she said, not because she cared, but because power sounded better when wrapped in courtesy. On the other side of the city, another woman was preparing for the same meeting. Celeste Hartman, CEO of Hartman Dynamics, heiress to a multinational empire, and the one person Astra had sworn never to work with. The media called them the two youngest billionaires in Asia. The market called them rivals. Everyone else called them a storm waiting to happen. And today, that storm was about to break. Astra entered first. She always arrived early. Control started with timing. Celeste entered last. She always arrived once everyone else was already watching. Their eyes met like sparks striking gasoline. Celeste smiled first. A slow, confident, infuriating smile. "Valerio," she greeted, slipping into her chair with effortless grace. "Still allergic to being late, I see." Astra didn't smile back. "I don't like wasting time." "Good," Celeste replied. "You're about to waste a lot of mine." The board members coughed awkwardly. The merger was supposed to save both companies from a foreign competitor rising too fast. A united empire. Shared power, shared decisions, shared space. Astra hated it. Celeste hated it more. But what they didn't know was that this meeting was only the first punch. "We reviewed your files." Astra slid a folder across the table. "Our teams will need to cooperate closely. Unfortunately, the hotel booked for the summit has one error." Celeste raised a brow. "What kind of error?" "There was a duplication in the reservation," Astra answered, jaw tightening. "Instead of 2 suites, we were assigned 1. Silence. Then, Celeste smirked. "So what you're telling me is..." Astra inhaled slowly. "We'll have to share." The room erupted in whispers. 2 billionaires, 1 suite, 1 bed. Celeste's eyes glittered with something between mischief and danger. "Relax, Valerio. I don't bite." Astra looked her straight in the eye. "I do." The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime, revealing the penthouse suite reserved for the 2 most powerful and most stubborn women in the building. Astra stepped in first, luggage in hand, posture stiff enough to snap. Celeste followed behind her, rolling her suitcase casually, as if this situation amused her more than annoyed her. The suite was stunning floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. Velvet couches, gold fixtures, and a bed so large it practically floated. Unfortunately, it was still only 1 bed. Astra exhaled sharply. I'll call the lobby. They can send a roll away. No need, Celeste cut in, tossing her coat over the arm of the sofa. I'm perfectly fine sharing. Astra stiffened. I don't share. You shared a merger, Celeste reminded her with a sweet smile. A bed should be easier. Astra shot her a cold glare. Don't flirt with me. Celeste stepped closer, her voice low and teasing. Who said I was flirting? Astra swallowed. That was the problem, she couldn't tell when Celeste was joking, and when she was aiming to disarm her. It irritated her. It intrigued her, and it scared her more than she wanted to admit. Astra dragged her suitcase into the walk-in closet, trying to ignore the way Celeste hummed in the background as she explored the room. 5 minutes later, Celeste called out, Astra, I think there's a problem. Astra marched out, ready to argue. What now? Celeste pointed at the bathroom mirror, which was completely fogged up from the steam of the running shower. The sensor is broken, Celeste said. It won't switch to anti-fog mode. Astra crossed her arms. Then turn off the shower. I tried. Celeste held up her wet hand. The knob got stuck. Astra groaned. Move. She brushed past Celeste, too close, too warm, and gripped the shower knob. It refused to budge. She turned harder. Nothing. Then, Celeste stepped behind her, placing her hand over Astra's on the knob. Astra froze. Heat shot up her spine. Their hands overlapped. Celeste's breath grazed her ear. Try it together, Celeste murmured. Astra's pulse jumped. She hated how her body reacted. She hated that Celeste noticed. Together they twisted the knob and it finally clicked off. Water stopped. Steam faded. Silence filled the bathroom. But neither of them moved. Celeste leaned just slightly closer. See, we work well together. Astra pulled her hand away fast. Don't make this whatever this is complicated. Celeste smiled softly, almost sadly. But it already is. Hours passed. Business documents filled the coffee table. 2 laptops glowed under the dim light. Astra worked silently. Celeste watched her more than she typed. When the clock hit midnight, Celeste stretched and said, We should sleep. I still have work. We have meetings at 7. Sleep. Astra finally stood. She didn't know if she was relieved or terrified. When they reached the bed, both of them stopped. Left or right, front or back, distance or danger, Celeste chuckled softly. You can take the side near the lamp. You like reaching for things. Astra rolled her eyes but climbed into her chosen side. Celeste slipped under the covers next to her, the mattress dipping with her weight. Too close, too warm, too real. Astra turned off the lamp. Darkness, silence. Then Celeste whispered, barely audible, Astra, why does being near you feel like standing near a storm? Astra's heart thudded painfully. She didn't answer. She couldn't, because deep down she felt the same, and that terrified her more than anything. Astra Valeria was a woman who never lost control, but tonight, lying only inches away from Celeste Hartman, control felt like a luxury slipping through her fingers. She could hear every quiet inhale Celeste made, every shift of the blankets, every soft exhale against the cool hotel air. Astra stared at the ceiling, refusing to look to her right where Celeste lay. This is ridiculous, she told herself. They were adults, professionals, rivals. Sharing a bed meant nothing. But her heartbeat refused to agree. Astra shifted slightly, trying to find a comfortable position. The mattress responded, dipping just enough for her shoulder to brush against Celeste's arm. Celeste inhaled sharply. Astra froze. That single touch felt like electricity, quiet but burning. Celeste's voice came soft in the darkness. "You're awake." Astra hesitated. "So are you." "Only because someone takes up 90% of the bed." Astra's brows furrowed. "I'm lying perfectly still." "Yes," Celeste whispered, "and still taking all the space in my head." Astra's breath hitched before she could stop it. This woman, this aggravating, confident, impossible woman was getting too close. Not physically, emotionally, and that was far more dangerous. Just when the silence settled again, Astra heard something unusual. Celeste shifted abruptly, her breath quickening. "Astra," she murmured, voice trembling. Astra turned toward her instinctively. "Celeste?" Celeste's eyes were squeezed shut, her forehead damp with sweat. Her chest rose and fell erratically. A nightmare. Astra hesitated only for a second before reaching out, placing a gentle hand on Celeste's shoulder. "Hey," Astra whispered, shaking her lightly. "Wake up." Celeste gasped and shot upright, panic in her eyes. Astra steadied her by the arm. "It's okay. You're safe." It took a few seconds before Celeste registered where she was and who was touching her. "I'm sorry," Celeste managed, rubbing her forehead. "I get nightmares sometimes. I didn't mean to." "You don't have to apologize." Astra's tone softened more than she intended. "Are you still shaking?" Celeste looked down at her own hands, trembling slightly. Astra reached out again, slower this time, giving Celeste every chance to pull away. She didn't. Their hands met warm on warm. Astra didn't expect Celeste to lean in slightly, as if seeking something she didn't want to name. Without thinking, Astra whispered, "Do you want me to stay awake with you?" Celeste's breath hitched. "That's not your responsibility." "I didn't ask if it was," Astra replied. "I asked if you wanted me to." Celeste looked at her, then really looked at her, like she was seeing the woman beneath the armor for the first time. "I do," Celeste admitted softly. They settled back down, not touching at first. Then gradually, as the minutes passed, closer and closer, Astra felt Celeste's hand inch toward hers. Celeste didn't grip it, didn't force anything. She simply let their fingers rest next to each other, almost touching, sharing warmth in the space between. Astra's walls, carefully built over years, shifted, cracked, and something dangerous slipped in. For the first time, she whispered Celeste's name like it wasn't a threat. "Celeste." Celeste turned her head slightly. "Yes?" Astra swallowed. "Why do you affect me like this?" Celeste smiled faintly in the dim darkness. "Maybe because no one has ever dared stand beside you. Astra, everyone either follows you or fears you." "And you?" Astra challenged. Celeste's voice was barely a whisper. "I see you." Astra's heart stopped. Just for a moment, but it was enough. Celeste shifted, face now inches from Astra's. Astra didn't move away. "Astra," Celeste breathed. Their noses nearly brushed. Their lips were one breath apart. Their emotions hung between them, trembling and undeniable. Astra's fingers moved on their own, touching Celeste's cheek, gentle, unsure. Celeste closed her eyes at the touch, leaning into it. Time slowed. Air thickened. And for one impossible heartbeat, they almost kissed. Almost, because Astra suddenly pulled back, breath shaky. "This can't happen," she whispered. Celeste opened her eyes, hurt flickering for a second. "Why not?" "Because we're rivals." Astra forced steadiness into her tone. "Because this is dangerous." Celeste gave a sad, soft smile. "Love always is." Astra's pulse faltered. Celeste returned to her pillow, close enough for their breaths to mix, but far enough to respect Astra's escape. Minutes passed. Then Celeste whispered into the dark, "Good night, Astra." Astra stared at the ceiling, her heart restless, her mind on fire. "Good night," she whispered back. She didn't sleep for the rest of the night. Not when Celeste Hartman was breathing softly beside her. Morning sunlight spilled into the penthouse suite. Far too bright for the amount of sleep Astra Valerio had not gotten. Celeste was already awake, sitting at the edge of the bed, hair a little messy, looking softer than Astra had ever seen her. Too soft, too real, too dangerous. Astra cleared her throat, forcing her voice steady. "We should get ready. We have a meeting at 7. Celeste turned, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "You didn't sleep." Astra stiffened. "And you know that how?" "Because I did," Celeste said. "And you weren't breathing like someone asleep." Astra looked away. "We don't need to talk about last night." Celeste's smile faded, replaced with something unreadable. "We don't, but we will. Not now. Not when Astra felt like one wrong look would shatter everything she'd kept tightly controlled." By the time they stepped out of the elevator, Astra was back in her CEO armor sharp suit, sharp heels, sharper expression. Celeste walked beside her, calm as always, but with a glimmer in her eyes like she knew exactly what Astra was trying to hide. They approached the conference hall and froze. 2 staff members were whispering near the registration desk, eyes widening the moment Astra and Celeste appeared. "Oh my God. They came down together? In the same elevator? That's..." Celeste leaned closer to Astra and whispered, "Well, I guess the rumor starts today." Astra nearly choked. "What rumor?" Celeste smirked. "Come on, Astra. 2 billionaire rivals suddenly attending a summit together. And arriving from the same floor? People notice. That doesn't mean anything." Celeste raised an eyebrow. "You and I know that." "They don't." Astra felt her pulse spike. The last thing she needed was speculation about mergers, betrayals, or worse, her personal life. Especially not this. As they entered the conference room, all eyes subtly shifted toward them. Astra felt the heat rise in her chest. Celeste, however, looked entertained. Astra breathed a sigh of relief when she saw her nameplate at the long table, until she saw the one beside it. Celeste Hartman reserved. Astra's jaw tightened. This had to be a joke. Celeste sat beside her, leaning slightly closer. "You'd think someone did this on purpose." "They didn't," Astra snapped softly. "Or maybe the universe just really wants us in the same space," Celeste teased. Astra glared. "Stop making this complicated." Celeste tilted her head. "Is that what you think this is?" Before Astra could answer, the chairman of the summit approached them. "Ms. Valerio, Ms. Hartman," he greeted cheerfully. "I hope the accommodation was comfortable." Astra opened her mouth. Celeste cut in smoothly. "Very comfortable. Celeste said, smiling. Everything was surprisingly close. Astra nearly strangled her. The chairman beamed. Excellent. The synergy between your companies will be crucial this weekend. Synergy? Astra wanted to scream. She shot Celeste a deadly look the moment the chairman walked away. What are you doing? Celeste leaned in just enough for Astra to feel her breath. You're not the only one struggling, Astra, she whispered. And pretending nothing happened won't make it go away. Astra's chest tightened. Her voice came out low and strained. Celeste, whatever happened last night was real, Celeste finished. Unless you want to lie to yourself again. Astra's breath hitched. Because Celeste was right, and that terrified her more than any rumor. The meeting began. Presenters spoke. Slides flashed. But Astra couldn't focus. Not with Celeste sitting close. Enough that their shoulders brushed every time someone passed behind them. Halfway through the discussion, the table shook slightly. Someone dropped a document binder, and instinctively, Astra's hand flinched under the table. It landed on something warm, soft, alive. Celeste froze. Astra realized a second too late. Her hand was on top of Celeste's. A jolt shot through her entire body. She tried to pull away. Celeste gently curled her fingers, stopping her. Just for a heartbeat. Astra's breath caught. Celeste didn't smirk this time. Didn't tease. She simply held Astra's hand for 3 slow seconds. 3 seconds Astra knew she wouldn't forget. Then she let go. Astra stared straight ahead, pulse racing so loudly she barely heard the speaker. For the first time in years, she felt something she couldn't control. Something she couldn't deny, and Celeste knew it. She leaned in without looking, her voice like silk. See you after the meeting. Astra? Astra exhaled sharply. Oh, she was in trouble. Deep, undeniable trouble. The moment the meeting adjourned, Astra shot up from her chair and made a beeline for the exit. She needed distance. Air, anything that didn't smell like Celeste Hartman's perfume, or feel like the warmth of her hand. But Celeste was faster. She always was. Astra ignored her. Astra. Faster steps. Longer strides. Astra, stop. A hand closed gently but firmly around Astra's wrist. Astra froze. Her pulse betrayed her instantly. She turned slowly. Celeste stood there, breath slightly uneven, eyes burning with determination and something else. Something Astra wasn't ready to name. Why are you running from me? Celeste asked quietly. Astra lifted her chin. I'm not. You are, Celeste whispered. You didn't even look back. That's because there's nothing to look back for. Celeste's eyes softened. Astra, you don't have to be afraid of this. Astra yanked her wrist free, not forcefully, just enough to break the contact. I'm not afraid. Then look at me. Astra refused. Celeste stepped closer. Astra, look at me. Slowly, too slowly, Astra did. And that was her mistake. Because the moment their eyes met, everything she'd been trying to bury came crashing up her throat. Fear, desire, confusion, want. A perfect storm. Celeste gently pressed her back against the wall, careful not to touch her. Close enough that Astra felt every breath, far enough to let her walk away. If you want me to leave you alone, Celeste whispered, say it. Astra opened her mouth, her throat locked. Say it, say it, say it. But the words wouldn't come. Celeste's expression shifted slowly, tenderly as realization dawned. You can't. Astra swallowed hard. Her voice came out quiet, raw. This, whatever you think this is, it's not a good idea. Celeste stepped a fraction closer. It doesn't have to be a good idea to be real. Astra's breath shook. Celeste reached up slowly, giving Astra every chance to stop her, and tucked a loose strand of hair behind Astra's ear. Astra closed her eyes without meaning to. Celeste's touch was gentle, too gentle. Astra, Celeste whispered. Last night meant something. Astra snapped her eyes open. You're misreading it. Celeste shook her head. No, you can't even lie well right now. Astra clenched her jaw. You're not going to break my focus. I don't want your focus, Celeste said softly. I want you. Astra's breath hitched violently. Celeste lifted her hand again, but instead of touching Astra, she placed her palm on the wall beside Astra's head, her body still restrained, still leaving her space. You think I haven't tried to forget about you? Celeste's voice was low, honest. You think I don't fight this too? Astra remained silent. You terrify me, Celeste confessed. You're cold, arrogant, brilliant, and somehow the only person who makes me want to stay. Astra felt her chest tighten painfully. She didn't want these words. She wanted distance. She wanted logic. But she was melting anyway. Celeste took a long breath. If you want me to stop, tell me now. Silence. Astra's hands curled into fists at her sides. She could feel her heartbeat everywhere in her throat, in her chest, in the tips of her fingers. She should say it. She should end this. She should... Astra whispered instead, barely audible. I don't know how to do this. Celeste's expression softened instantly. You don't have to know. Just let me try with you. I don't... Astra's voice cracked. I don't do relationships. Good, Celeste said, stepping closer, finally close enough that the edge of her coat brushed Astra's. Because I'm not asking for a relationship. Astra blinked, confused, relieved, terrified. Celeste leaned in slowly until her lips were just a breath away from Astra's ear. I'm asking for honesty. Astra's breath trembled. And right now, Celeste whispered, I need to know if last night meant nothing to you. Astra's chest twisted so tightly she felt like she'd break. She opened her mouth, and the conference coordinator suddenly walked around the corner. Oh, Ms. Valerio, Ms. Hartman, sorry, I didn't know anyone was here. Celeste immediately took a step back, giving Astra space. Astra exhaled shakily. The coordinator handed them 2 folders. The press is requesting a joint interview in 15 minutes. Perfect. Another disaster waiting to happen. Celeste glanced at Astra, unreadable. Astra looked away first, but her heart didn't. The press room was already buzzing when Astra and Celeste walked in side by side, yet pretending they weren't, orbiting the same gravitational pull. Flashbulbs exploded, microphones angled forward. Every reporter sensed something. Ms. Valerio, Ms. Hartman, the moderator welcomed them. Today's joint interview has raised quite a bit of excitement. Celeste smirked. Astra shot her a warning glare. They took their seats too close for comfort, too far to be honest. The questions began harmlessly. Future collaborations? Market strategies? Competitive relationship? Astra handled everything with cold precision. Until a reporter leaned forward. Last night, you were seen leaving the penthouse floor together. Is there a reason you're suddenly appearing as a pair? Astra stiffened. Celeste didn't. She leaned to the microphone calmly. We had a logistical misunderstanding with our rooms. Astra exhaled in relief, until Celeste added, but the night turned out unexpectedly meaningful. Astra's head snapped toward her. What are you doing? She whispered harshly. The room erupted with questions. Meaningful how? Are you confirming a partnership? Or something more personal? Astra gripped the microphone. There is nothing. Celeste covered the microphone gently with her hand. Astra, she whispered softly, you don't have to lie. Astra froze. Her chest ached. Celeste removed her hand and faced the cameras. We're navigating something new, she said truthfully. And I hope everyone respects that we're figuring it out. Astra could have died right there. The interview ended in chaos, and Astra walked out without looking back. But Celeste followed. She always did. Astra slammed her suite door open, expecting solitude. Instead, Celeste slipped inside before it shut. Astra spun around. What the hell was that interview? Celeste stayed calm. You were panicking. I wasn't. You were running again. Astra threw her hands up. You exposed us to the press. Celeste stepped closer. There is no us unless you stop pretending. Astra felt the words hit like a bruise. There can't be an us, Astra whispered. Celeste swallowed. Because of work? Because I don't know how to love you. The room fell silent. Astra hadn't meant to say you. Celeste's voice softened. Astra, you don't have to know. I'm not asking for perfection, just honesty. Astra's voice cracked. I don't know how to let someone in. Celeste stepped forward and gently cupped Astra's cheek. Then let me knock. Astra shook her head. I'll ruin this, Celeste whispered. Maybe I'm willing to be ruined. Astra's walls trembled, and for the first time, she didn't push Celeste away. She let herself fall. It started with silence. Celeste's hand on Astra's cheek. Astra's breath trembling. The room holding its breath. Then slowly, Celeste leaned in. Astra didn't move away. Their lips met softly at first like a question, then deeper like an answer. Warmth surged through Astra's chest, a slow-burning fire she never let herself feel. Celeste kissed her like she was learning her, respecting her, not rushing, not demanding. Astra's hands gripped Celeste's blazer, pulling her closer, as if she finally allowed herself to want something. When they broke apart, foreheads pressed together, Astra whispered, I'm scared. Celeste smiled weakly. I am too. And just like that, something fragile and dangerous bloomed between them. Astra woke with her head on Celeste's shoulder. Not in passion, but in peace. Celeste was awake, gently running her fingers along Astra's arm. You stayed, Celeste whispered. Astra almost smiled. I didn't mean to. That's what makes it real. Astra sat up slowly. Reality sank in. The press, the rumors, the consequences. Celeste, if this continues, they'll tear us apart. Celeste squeezed her hand. Let them try. Astra looked away. You don't understand. I have shareholders, a reputation, responsibilities. And what about your heart? Celeste countered softly. Does it get a choice? Astra didn't answer, because she wasn't sure it did. The next week was chaos. The rumor spread globally. Headlines exploded. Stocks shifted. Astra's board summoned her. This relationship is a liability. You're risking the company. Ended immediately. Astra returned to her office numb. She stared at her phone for hours. Finally, she typed, "We need space, for both our sakes." She pressed send. Celeste replied 6 minutes later, "If space is what you need, I'll give it. But it won't change what you feel." Astra put the phone face down and didn't touch it again. Days passed. Weeks. Silence grew like distance. Distance grew like heartbreak. Astra threw herself into work. Longer hours, colder decisions, bigger walls, but nothing worked. Every empty room reminded her of Celeste. Every late-night coffee tasted wrong without her laugh. Every victory felt hollow without her to argue first. Meanwhile, Celeste traveled to Europe, then Singapore, then Dubai, every interview dodging rumors, every smile forced. But her eyes carried the same ache. Their friends knew. Their companies knew. Only Astra and Celeste stayed silent. Painfully, stubbornly silent. 3 months later, Astra's company faced a crisis. A merger gone wrong. A market crash. A legal dispute. She didn't sleep for days. In the middle of her 4th all-nighter, trying to fix a disaster she didn't cause, she collapsed on her office couch exhausted, defeated and completely alone. For the first time in years, Astra cried. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quiet, shaking tears she'd never allowed herself. Then she whispered into the empty room, "Celeste, I miss you," as if the universe heard. Her phone buzzed. A single message. "I know something's wrong. Let me come. Celeste." Astra stared at the screen. Her heart answered before her pride could. "Okay, Astra." Celeste arrived at 2:17 a.m., hair messy, no makeup, breathing hard like she ran the whole way. When she saw Astra tired, broken, vulnerable, her expression shattered. Astra didn't speak. She didn't need to. Celeste walked to her slowly, giving her time to refuse. Astra didn't. Celeste cupped Astra's face gently. "You don't have to be strong with me." Astra leaned into her touch. "I tried," Astra whispered. "I tried to forget you." Celeste swallowed. And I failed. Celeste pulled her into her arms, warm, tight, safe. Astra melted instantly. After minutes of silence, Astra whispered, "Don't leave this time." Celeste kissed her forehead. "I won't unless you tell me to." Astra shook her head. "I won't." This time she kissed Celeste first. Soft, slow, meaningful. A kiss that tasted like coming home. The next morning, Astra called an emergency board meeting. Her voice was steady, her decision final. "If my personal life threatens the company, then the problem isn't me, it's the culture we allow." The board protested. They threatened. They warned. Astra didn't waver. "I won't apologize for loving someone, and I won't lose her again." The board fell silent, and for the first time, Astra Valerio chose herself, chose love, chose Celeste. That night, Celeste met her on the rooftop garden of Astra's building, city lights glowing around them. "You chose me," Celeste whispered. Astra held her hand. I finally chose us. The world didn't magically fix itself. Rumors still spread. Press still speculated. Investors still watched. But Astra and Celeste, they stopped hiding. One evening, months later, after a successful partnership launch, they stood on the balcony of Celeste's penthouse. The city glittered below, the stars above. Celeste rested her head on Astra's shoulder. "Do you still fear this?" Celeste asked softly. Astra laced their fingers together. "Yes," she answered honestly, "but I want it more than I fear it." Celeste smiled against her shoulder. "That's all I ever needed." Astra turned, cupped Celeste's face, and kissed her deep, slow, full of everything she never knew how to say. When they pulled apart, Astra whispered, "I loved you even when I ran from you." Celeste pressed their foreheads together, "And I waited even when it hurt." The wind carried their quiet breaths, their quiet laughter, their quiet promises. They weren't perfect. They weren't easy, but they were worth the war. And together, they finally chose a future neither of them had dared dream of. Love doesn't always begin with softness. Sometimes, it starts with tension, rivalry, and two hearts too stubborn to admit they're breaking for each other. Astra and Celeste entered that hotel room as enemies bound by business. But they left as something far more complicated. Something tender, dangerous, and real. Their story shows that even in the coldest people, love finds cracks where light can enter. And when it does, there's no turning back.